Really solid EMS providers can often de-escalate an aggravated patient, but the very best providers can keep the patient from ever becoming agitated in the first place. I'll show you how to always be a harbinger of peace on this episode of One for the Road. Bruce Lee once said that the best way to block a punch was to not be there.
Best way to avoid punch, no be there.
Okay, that might have been Mr. Miyagi. But in any case, it remains true that avoiding conflict is always superior to fighting against it. The best de-escalation tools are the ones that keep the conflict from arising in the first place. One way to always win a fight is to avoid the fight from the start. So there's a few things that I think we can consistently do to help keep us out of conflict during our patient interactions. In fact, I think we should refer to them as habits because they're things that we should be in the habit of doing every time we interact with a patient. And the first one is eye contact. Now, eye contact can be a little bit of an art. Just staring at the patient's eyes doesn't necessarily build rapport. There's definitely a give and take to eye contact. One technique you can use to look at a person in the eyes but make sure that you're not being intimidating is to only look at one of their eyes. That's a little bit that subconscious, subtle, not staring directly into both eyes can make somebody more comfortable while you're paying attention to them. There's like a Goldilocks range of eye contact during a conversation that's not too much and not too little. And we have to practice that back and forth. But there's sometimes we always want to look right into the patient's eyes. And that is when we're saying something important, something that's significant to the weight of the conversation. We should always be on their level. And we should always look right into their eyes when we say that critical thing. Another thing when we're saying that critical thing to them is using their correct name. Knowing what their name is, remembering it. Some of us can struggle with remembering their name. So practice remembering their correct name and use it in conversation, especially when we're delivering significant information. A third one I'm going to offer is it's okay to have unnecessarily agitating people leave the room. Let me break that down a little bit more. Have you ever been on that call where fairly or unfairly, the patient seems to fixate on one person as a focus of their conflict or aggravation? And if we have that person, it's okay to say like, hey, why don't you maybe step outside for this one? Or why don't you let me take the lead from here and see if your rapport doesn't improve and you avoid that conflict. Remember, our strong patient rapport skills are not something that we just want to deploy when the patient is difficult. We want to practice them ideally in every patient interaction. The fortunate thing is, we can practice these skills on almost every call that we have. You might find that deploying rapport skills not only makes for a pleasant patient interaction, but it makes for a more pleasant and enriching career overall. Thank you for watching. Do you have any skills or techniques that you use to build rapport and avoid conflict? If you do, help teach everybody watching this video. I'd love to hear what you think. Go down and leave us a comment in the comments section. I'm Steve Whitehead. Thanks for watching. That was One for the Road.